All right, we in here.
Okay, what's up? It's your boy Sean P and Reese. We're back again tonight for another episode of Shadow Code Radio. Uh, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about something that's come up lately online about white privilege in hip hop. You know, of course, white privilege is a big topic with the with systemic racism in our country. But of late, it's been coming up in hip hop circles regarding certain albums and certain artists that have been um, uh, coming out of late. You know what I mean? And we're going to refer to Jack Harlow a little bit later as well. And of course, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite white artist to go to when they have an argument, and that's Eminem. But we're going to start this off, Reese, with a clip of a game interview where he talks to an interviewer. I don't know who he is or what have you. I never heard of him before, about white privilege. And we're going to break that interview down first before we go to talking about white privilege in hip hop and what our opinions are, if it's a problem, if not. So Reese, let's go. Let's start there.
All right, here we go.
You say, sometimes you get a chance to look back and see everything that you've done. So many people in hip hop look to you as a voice because you've been in the game for so long. And so I'm wondering what your thoughts are now on rap lyrics being used in court, specifically in Young Thug's RICO case.
I think that's bullshit. First, I'm gonna say Free Gunna and Young Thug. I think it's bullshit because when fucking Sylvester Stallone plays Rambo, and he's shooting up motherfuckers, they don't go when he gets in trouble in real life. Not saying he did, but if he was to, they're not gonna bring up the Rambo 1 through 5 and be like, yeah, you've been violent your whole career.
All right, so let me stop that right there. That's not even the same comparison. I don't know why he even did that. That's not the same comparison. It's not, because Sylvester Stallone is not reenacting real life situations. It's a movie, and we clearly know that that's a movie. Certain hip hop artists are in gangs. They reenacting, not even reenacting. This is their lifestyle. So I don't even understand why he even made that comparison. That's crazy to me. But we're gonna keep on going.
Like it's entertainment. And I mean, these days, a lot of rappers are, capping in their music and not saying that Gunna and Thug are. I know Thug personally, and we had, our rounds, and we bumped heads a few times. And, Thug is with the shit. I don't know Gunna. I never met him, but he's from Atlanta. And, he in jail, hit with a RICO case, so he obviously about something. Or not. But I'm saying, man, I think that's bullshit, and there needs to be a law passed where they cannot use rappers' entertainment lyrics in a court case, because it's bullshit.
No, that's fair to say, because most artists specifically also have a name which could be deemed as a character, right? And so just like how Sylvester Stallone, as an example, is in a movie with Rambo, I mean, it's literally the same thing.
Right, like Young Thug is a rap name created by a rapper, and he raps and he entertains.
Yeah.
He also does, a lot of shit for the community and takes care of a lot of people in Atlanta and outside of Atlanta. So it's like, at some point, like, are they using that to weigh up against, the things that they saying he doing in his music? You know what I'm saying? All the families he's feeding, everything he done for the community, is that up? Are they putting that on a scale? Because one would outweigh the other, especially if we just talking about entertainment.
The headline of the last few months from you has been that you feel that you're a better rapper than Eminem.
I am.
Right, so you're a better rapper than Eminem. I think that, and I also heard you say in an interview that part of you, when saying that, is trying to spark some sort of competition. You want there to be conversation in hip hop.
I'm a fan of M like everybody else. Like, he's not my favorite rapper. And I mean, I personally think like M has, like, to be perfectly honest, I feel like he has like 2.5, 3 albums out of 11 that are really like solid projects, but like so do I and beyond. So I mean, what constitutes him being a better rapper than me? You know what I'm saying? If I got
this guy is wild. So what he did right there was, okay, so let me shit on Eminem's whole entire discography and then try to pump mines up at the same time. It's like, What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's start there, Reese. Let's
Yeah.
start with the comparing Eminem's catalog to Games, and I'm just gonna speak on the Game versus Eminem. Of late, Game has been coming with a lot of, I guess you would call, rhetoric online, trying to do a versus with Eminem, trying to downplay Eminem, saying he had a diss record for Eminem. But I just want to bring up factual history here. Game came in the game, quote unquote, no pun intended, in 2005 on Shady Aftermath G Unit. You could make the legitimate argument that Eminem, he actually came in as an employee of Eminem. He came in on the same label as by Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre as Eminem. Uh, Game's first album, documentary, has been hailed as a classic. Very well put together album. He had a song with Eminem on there. I think the name is remains the game remains the same or something to that effect. And he has bars on that song where he clearly said, call up Dr. Dre, give me a call. Eminem murdered me on my own shit. So he referenced that factual evidence that he referenced and Eminem killed him on his own record, on his own classic record. Number two, he also has been known in other videos to say, don't nobody in this game want it with Eminem. Eminem will murder anybody on a record or something to that effect. Eminem is one of the greatest of all time, blah, blah, blah. So my pushback to his statements and my biggest problem with this interviewer was, why was that not brought up? Where is your media skills when you brought up, like, hey, you think you're a better rapper than Eminem, you want to battle him in a versus, but you basically said M shitted on you and killed you on your own record. Where's that coming from?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that? Where's that pushback? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem with that, is that Game clearly contradicts himself. And not only that, you basically were owned by Eminem, dog. You were on his label.
Mm-hmm.
You were on G Unit, Shady, G Unit, Aftermath. Eminem was part owner with Dr. Dre on that label. And yes, Eminem did own 50 Cent at one time. This is factual evidence. So you signed to Eminem, bro. You know, I just got to point out facts, Reese. I don't know if you got anything to say about that.
Game's trash. That's all I gotta say. He's trash. Like for him to even say anything about Eminem. See, it's the thing, man, and I truly believe that certain people don't they don't have the right to speak on certain people. I don't care how many albums you think that you got is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Eminem did things for hip hop that you would never do. Never. So, but we're gonna continue on. I know it's a little bit to go, so we're gonna continue on.
Classic albums too. Eminem came in at a time where he was a white rapper, and we all know about white privilege. I mean, so it exists in hip hop as well, especially at the time when M came in. He was the best white rapper in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that M is not one of the, great rappers, but so am I. But he's not better than me.
So you speak about white privilege, and at the time that we're shooting this interview, the person who sits atop the Billboard Hot 100 right now is a white man. It's Jack Harlow from Kentucky.
Yeah.
He certainly makes hits. Do you think that white privilege plays a factor in the success of his
I think that white privilege plays a factor in everything that has to do with a white person.
That is the dumbest shit I ever heard, bro. Seriously. That's so stupid. That's a dumbass statement. You know what I'm saying? That's dumb. So you basically saying that if a white person owns anything, it's white privilege. Even if they worked hard for it, it's white privilege. Like, that statement is stupid. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Eminem came in and he was the best white rapper, but there were white rappers before Eminem. How come they didn't get the same treatment?
That's the thing. He contradicted himself like 4 times already in this interview. Well, I'm not taking anything away from him. He was the best white rapper in the world, you know? So, this is my thing. You're admitting he's great. You admitted on your first album he trashed you on your own song. You signed to him. You signed to a label where you were standing alongside of him. You asked him to be on your debut record, which is hailed as a classic. So where is this coming from, game? Like, this is just a walking contradiction back and forth. Like, because the once you say he was the greatest white rapper in the world, how is that white privilege? And see, where is the interviewer stopping him? Like, oh, but wait a minute, you just said he was the greatest white rapper in the world. Then, if he's the greatest white rapper in the world at that time, how is that white privilege? Because white privilege is you're not as good, you're not as talented. You basically slacked your way to the top, and because you're white, you got the token
Yeah,
position.
yeah, exactly.
But you just admitted he's the greatest white rapper in the world. So what's going on, dog?
I don't
The
understand.
interviewer fucked up.
Yeah,
The interviewer fucked up, number one. And
yeah,
game, you contradicted yourself about 4 times in this interview. So you could go on.
yeah. That's good.
Succeeding. It's just it's an edge. It's just an edge, man. It's almost like if you're asking a man to bench press 300 and asking a woman, like obviously you know that the man is going to be stronger than the woman, right? So that's who you place your bets with. As far as like white privilege, like yeah, Jack Harlow is an amazing rapper, and he's also putting in the work. That's one thing about Jack that I like is you can see Jack putting in the work.
Yeah,
He's
that's a
out
fact.
here grinding. He's doing all the interviews, the podcast. He's putting out the music. He put out a solid first album, but for sure, white privilege plays a factor in any white rapper's career, man. It just is what it is, and it's not.
All right, let me stop that right there.
Okay, we got to stop there.
All right, look. So let me get this right. So you give props. The only reason why you're giving props to Jack Harlow because he fucks with Drake. I'm just gonna throw that right out there. You know what I mean? Let's just throw that there because that's the reason why. Secondly, you kind of backhanded him in at the same time by saying, "Oh, the reason why is because of white privilege." But you just said that he's putting the work in, right? Now again, where's all the other white rappers who's been rapping for years and they're not on the same level as Jack Harlow? Why? It's not because of white privilege. Because if it was because of white privilege, every white rapper, the Island Boys, every white rapper that ever rapped would be successful. Why is it that the ones that you say are good are successful? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the ones he's saying that are good, they're good because of white privilege. White privilege played the factor into it.
This is the problem again, Reese. Like, I don't think he understands the definition of white privilege. I think he sounds really uneducated here because you basically you take out the white privilege part. You said his first album was pretty solid. He's been killing it. He's been putting in the work. I've seen this kid from the beginning. It's like you want to give him respect. You want to give him props. But then you got to say, well, white privilege plays a part. But if his first project, like you said, was solid, which it was, I think it went to #1 or whatever. He had hits. And he mentions he has hits. What's the problem, dude? Like, okay, where's the privilege? White privilege part is what I want to know. Yeah. If he came and said, well, to be honest with you, I think he's kind of lazy and he kind of just done a couple features and blew up off of some features. He could even said, well, honestly, he only is big because maybe he did some songs with Drake or something like that, and he kind of skated his way to the top. Okay, maybe you have an argument, but you gave him respect from his first album to putting in the work in. So it's like you're calling out white privilege, but there's no white privilege part. You know what I mean? You gave him. It's like you're giving him respect as being good, but then you're saying it's white privilege.
Yeah.
It's like, Game, you got to go back to the drawing board, buddy, because it's like you're lying on TV here.
Yeah.
You're lying to yourself openly. And what I'm really mad is the interviewer ain't checking him on it. You know, which makes this another question, which I'll get to the end of it.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Yeah.
I didn't create the shit.
Right.
Like if it was on me, it'd be black privilege. If it was on me, I'd like to put out an artist called Black Harlow and see if he get the same love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it just is what it is, man. But Jack can help that he was born white and that he, chose rap and that he's dope and that this is what, he's, the accolades and the things that he are achieving at this point in his career are what they are. Like, of course, when they see the white man coming through the building, they're going, do a little bit extra. It's not the same when you black, and that's okay.
Yeah, help me understand.
All right, so let me say. All right, so I'm gonna stop it right there. I want to make this very clear to black people. Black people dominate hip hop. Been dominating hip hop for decades. Let's just get that out the way. You can't use the argument against white people if they come in and be successful because obviously they're outnumbered by us. So if you put a white person into anything and it's dominated by somebody else, most likely people are going to gravitate towards them. Doesn't mean it's white privilege. It just means that if they're halfway good as you are, people are going to gravitate towards them. That's just how it is. The reason why I don't fall for this argument from him is because hip hop has been dominated by black people from the beginning, and it still is. So when he says this, because this is white privilege and the reason why they're successful, well, guess what? For every Eminem, there's Jay-Z, Nas, fucking Tupac, Biggie, anyone you want to name that is just as successful or even more successful as probably maybe Jay-Z, but Jack Harlow, there's Kendrick, there's J. Cole, there's a bunch of them. So the argument that he's presenting just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. I think he's using this because we in this whole racial tension climate right now. So I think that's the reason why. But go ahead, if you got something to say.
He's all over the place, man. He's all over the place. I don't really know where he's going. It's like he started out, I think he thought he had a point in his head and then he started rambling. And the interviewer is kind of just yes-manning him. Yes, man, throwing up softball questions. I'm more mad at the interviewer more than Game in this. Because Game, he's shitting on himself in the interview. But the interviewer is really who I'm upset with. Like, you're not calling him out for his inconsistency, which makes me think Game set this up. This sounds like a setup interview.
It definitely
where
does.
Game this guy out. He basically picked this guy out because he wanted to get his talking points out there. Game probably set up the questions to get his talking points out there to get people talking about him. This wasn't even a legitimate interview, man, because he's all over the place. There's so many more black artists. Well, duh. You know what I mean? Like, you mean gravitate towards white artists? Well, how many white artists are there out there to gravitate to? You know what I mean? That's the biggest argument there. Yeah. So anyway, we gotta go. Let's roll on with the interview.
Yeah. Let's go.
Understand that though, because to some people, hip hop is a collective of people that look like us, and so one would think that maybe Jack or a white person would have a disadvantage. How is it that he would have an advantage as a white man in hip hop in this arena?
There's a few people, right, that
only good question.
That doesn't apply to. Like M. Like M grew up in 8 Mile, Detroit. All his best friends are black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
wait a minute, hold on.
Because
wait a minute, hold on.
Let it roll on.
With niggas because culturally, like, these your partners, and this is who you fuck with. The same with Jack. Jack got that one thing. Like, Jack not like, there's a difference between Jack Harlow and Post Malone.
Yeah.
As far as like urban. Like Post Malone is a fucking, he came out White Iverson based off of, Allen Iverson, which is his big fucking record. Not to take nothing away from him, but we all love Iverson, and that song was fucking amazing by Post Malone. And he obviously idolized Iverson, but Posty is like more of like a rock star hippie at heart. And like, and getting rock star shit. Jack got, what happens when a white dude got a little soul. You know what I'm saying? We seen Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when black people really just know that, you're the type of white dude that's kind of like invited to the barbecue, like a Timberlake or M or Jack Harlow, then that it just doesn't apply to artists like that.
It's a little extra love given.
Bubba Sparks.
Yeah.
Like, remember, Bubba was the shit.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, again, inside and outside of music is Paul Wall.
Yeah, that's
you
another
know
one.
what Paul Wall is?
Yeah.
Paul Wall damn near black, bro. Be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He white, but he black. So at the end of the day, man, you know what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's cooler to be accepted in the black community and be white, because then again, white privilege is gonna work. And you low-key got a black privilege because you fuck.
So this is my point, right? Again, the contradiction. Now, granted, this is the best question that the guy asked, right?
Yeah.
But see, here's my problem with this, and this is probably the biggest fuck up that Game had in the interview. You're openly admitting that these white artists have appeal in the black community. Paul Wall, Justin Timberlake, Eminem, who grew up in the hood. So you're basically saying we've accepted them. We've taken them in as one of us. We love their music. You're openly admitting that we like their music because they got soul. So right then and there, bro, your argument's over. Because now what you're saying is, okay, well, if that's white privilege, then we're contributing to the white privilege, because all these artists you just named, black people are buying their music. Black people are asking them or putting them. They're being on the award shows. Eminem did the BET award. Eminem did the BET awards. Justin Timberlake performed on the BET awards. All of these white artists. So if it's white privilege game, this is what I want to know. Why are black people asking them to be part of their community and be on award shows, be in shows that cater to their community, i.e. the BET awards? You know what I mean? Like, how is that white privilege? Because if that's the case, are black, and Reese, I want to ask you this question. Are black people guilty now of aiding white privilege? That's what I want to know.
That's actually an excellent question. I don't think that it is white privilege. I think these artists are just appealing. I think they're amazing artists to certain people, and then people like them. I think people use white privilege as a talking point to get a point across, get their point across nowadays. And as I was saying to you before, it's they use this so much that it's become diluted now to the point it doesn't mean nothing anymore. It doesn't mean nothing. All this, it don't mean nothing because they use it too often. You know what I'm saying?
I think, because I can tell you, and this is outside of hip hop, what real white privilege is. Okay? I mean, and this is another off the beat path discussion. We're both black men in this country. We've grown up with prejudice. I can give you examples of real white privilege. I'm not going to go down that road. But it's clear to me that Game does not understand what white privilege is. And I think there's a lot of younger generation people. They don't know it. They hear the term, they see it on whatever platform on social media, and they think, oh, well, I'm just going to use that to gaslight what I got to say, when they don't even understand the meaning. Because it's clear Game does not understand the meaning of what white privilege is, period.
Yeah, you're right about that. I definitely think that Game, he's reaching on this interview, and I think that he knows that that's a buzzword right now. White supremacy, white privilege, anything with white in it is a buzzword, and everybody's gonna listen. You know what I'm saying? Eminem, oh, he's a beneficiary of white privilege is the reason why, even though he grew up in
But
the
the thing,
hood.
but Reese, this is the thing. He stopped said M grew up in the hood. He grew up in 8 Mile, Detroit, one of the hardest hoods in the world. He clearly Eminem has he basically wants to say Eminem is basically black. He grew
Yeah,
up in the hood. That's the reason why I hear this argument about, oh well, I don't hear no M records in the hood. They don't be pulling up to no Eminem in the hood and playing in the hood. Eminem grew up in one of the hardest hoods for the than more than the majority of black people in the end of the day. He grew
yeah,
up in one of the hardest hoods in the country, 8 Mile, Detroit. Royce the 5'9" is from the same hood. You know what I mean? Look up a guy by in the name of the streets of a guy by the name of Trick Trick. Look up his who he is in the streets from 8 Mile, Detroit. And then you come back to tell me M don't got no hood cred or they don't play his shit in the hood. Well, I got news for you, yo. Eminem comes from the hood, and he
yeah,
has that acceptance from the hood. So that's why I'm like, all right, where is this coming from? You know what I mean? And Game openly admits that in the article, or
yeah,
or in the openly admits that.
yeah. He sure
So
enough
I mean,
did.
he has no.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, man. It don't make sense to me. Is that the? I think that's the end. Is that the end of it?
That's the end of it. Well,
Yeah.
back to the
Let me
whole
just get
thing.
this off of
Oh,
here.
just
Mm.
I think this interview was one of the most terrible interviews I've ever seen. This was this was basically Game just trying to get his talking points out as to how he feels, and this guy really never checked him. Period. I wish to God I was doing that interview. I would have totally didn't went down a different direction. But Game would have got so frustrated with me, he probably would have walked off set because I would have let him know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back to the white privilege thing. This guy basically said, and I'm gonna get to Jack Harlow in a minute, that these guys are accepted by black Americans as being good. You know what I mean? Remy Ma said the realest quote that has ever been said about Eminem was Remy Ma came out and said people hate Eminem because Eminem is good. And that's the bottom line. Not because he's white, because Eminem is good. And they don't want to admit that a white guy is good at rap than the majority and a whole lot of black guys. And that's where this really stems from in the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really where this is coming from, and I'll just apply the context. This has been a viral topic for I'd say the last couple of months, because Jack Harlow, who's been mentioned in the article, in the interview, went to number one with a song called First Class, I believe. And there was a tweet by, I believe, a guy, TDE Punch, one of those guys from
Yeah,
TDE, saying,
that's what's it.
he,
Top dog.
yeah, saying, now see here, this is an example of systemic racism, because this song isn't really that good. And all of a sudden, he just goes right to number one. Makes you think, is white privilege real, blah, blah, blah. And since then, this has become a hot button topic on hip hop circles, all because of this one Jack Harlow song, where it's a dope song. Has there been better number one singles? Absolutely, but I don't see the big deal. The dude has a following. The dude is on records with some of the biggest names in hip hop, from Drake to Quavo to Lil Wayne to the Baby to, and he had hits before this. I don't think his album's very good. I'll be honest with you. I think his album's kind of weak. He sounded like he really didn't want to be in the booth on this album. But it didn't even go to number one. It sold like 100,000 in the first week or something like that. But it didn't even go to number one. So that's where all this outrage is coming from, Reese. And I don't really get it. Like,
I
it's
don't.
not like the guy is washing the whole game over. Like he had the highest selling total. Like I could understand if the dude had a real weak album and he sold like 1 million in the first week, but he did like 100K. Like I don't know, but that tweet is basically gaslit this whole topic of white privilege in hip hop.
I don't. I don't understand how the same people that say that this is the definition of white privilege is looking towards white people to buy their albums. I don't
That's
understand
another.
that. So let me get this right. You said that because this song it's not that great to you, it went number one, and this is the definition of white privilege. But when Kendrick drop, he goes number one. When Drake drop, he goes number one. When Cardi B drops, she goes number one. Any black
Yep.
artist goes number one. So is that the definition of black privilege or whatever? Like, so it's like what are we saying here? Like if you believe that song isn't that good, first of all, I believe First Class that's actually a really good song. If you're
It
looking
is
at
a
it
good
from
song.
if you're looking
No,
at it from the scope of artistry, sample, music, and people like it because they keep like I seen that. I didn't even know it was him that did that song. I thought it was a skit. I thought it was an infomercial song, and I heard it on
yeah,
TikTok. And I said, oh, because every TikTok it went viral. People got to understand things go viral all the time. You know what I'm saying? Things go viral all the time, but people say people get on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and they feel as though they have a voice and they can say anything to gaslight, and they don't have to suffer the consequences for it because guess what? That's how they feel. That's how I feel. So what? You know what I'm saying? But I don't see how they could even connect Jack Harlow to white privilege because he had a number one song that was actually a pretty good song. Like I don't understand that. Like the song was trash.
but
Be
see,
something
you brought
different.
a point about they want to call out white privilege, but the majority, all of these artists. Let me explain something to you. And the way the hip hop industry is set up is the major labels, Interscope, Def Jam, whatever, they're ran by white executives. The goal of hip hop is to make your music acceptable and marketable to a diverse audience. Diverse audience includes white people. Black people only account for I'm probably embellishing a little, but 15% of the population. So really in the end of the day, they're selling to people who are to 60 to 70%, of this population, which is white America. So like in the end of the day, all of these artists, these black artists, they want white people to support their music. They want everybody to support their music. So they're not making music. I love this argument of, well, the hood got to have acceptance of of these artists. And mind you, um Eminem, he got the hood cosign from coming up in the battle circuit in the 90s. He got the hood cosign from Dr. Dre, from 50 Cent. And that's one of the reasons why Eminem is one of the biggest artists in the world. He was the first real white artist to get the official stamp from the hood, mind you, including Game. So Jack Harlow got the same stamp. Jack Harlow was getting the stamp from Drake. Jack Harlow got the stamp from Quavo, from the Baby, from a lot of the hot young artists in the game today. So why is it white privilege when all of the black artists are giving him that cosign and wanting to do work with him? That's what I really want to know.
I don't
They
understand it.
like the dude. The dude is.
Yeah,
They think the dude is good.
I don't understand it. I mean, I just feel like a lot of times people come into this They could say whatever they want, and they just be reaching most of the time. I think Game is just a perfect example of people who use these buzzwords just to get you to pay attention to them. Because if that's the case, if Game was good, you don't see usually good super good artists don't come out talking about other artists. They'll just do them. You know what I'm saying? They'll just do them. And to me, he doesn't have a leg to stand on because he's not on Eminem level. I guess
But I
just
got a
imagine.
question, Reed.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. I want to go back, let's say 20 years, okay? How many white artists were truly successful? I mean, meaning like they had a good, I don't know, 5-year run. They sold some records. They had some hits. They maybe had a classic album here or there.
Mm.
They were notable for at least 5 years. Let's go back about 20 years. I mean, can you name 5 in 20 years?
I'm gonna tell
I
you
dare
why.
you.
I'm gonna tell you why they wasn't successful, and the reason why Eminem is successful, and the reason why Jack Harlow is successful. The reason why Eminem is successful because Eminem took hip hop to a different. He took a different approach to hip hop. He didn't rap
Yeah.
like black rappers. He didn't rap like. So you can go with Third Base. You can go with MC Search and all these rappers back then. They rapped like they were black, or they rapped like they were in the black circle. You know what I'm saying? Eminem came out and said, "Nah, I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm going to be controversial, and I'm going to talk about my mother, and I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about gays, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to say what I want to say." And to a certain extent, he used that. See, these other rappers, they would never, ever, ever do anything like that. And this is the reason why he's so successful. But that's just another topic. But as far as what you're saying, they would never been as big as Eminem because they were too afraid to step out the box and rap like a white boy. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these white rappers, they felt as though they had to stay inside that hip hop lane or that rap lane. Eminem broke that mold and was like, "Nah, I'm white, and this is how white boys rap." You know what I'm saying? We don't rap like that. Like we rap, but we do what we want to do. I'm swinging a cat and hitting people in the back with a gnat and all that stuff. Like he was going off back then. And I think that's the reason why. That's my answer for that. You know what I mean?
Well, my point is the question, answer my own question. I think, and it goes back to the Remy Ma quote, people don't hate Eminem because he's white. They hate Eminem because he's good. Because in 20 years, I'm gonna go back to 2000. That probably covers majority of hip hop fans today. I can't name a rapper outside of Eminem that had a strong 5-year run at the top. Maybe Post Malone. I think Post Malone is kind of a different type of guy. He's more of a singer. He does rock and you can even say country stuff. I can't even qualify Post Malone as like a hip hop rapper, you know? So that's kind of like, I don't know, a half a point. But if you go back in 20 years and Games brought him up, Paul Wall was a one-hit wonder. Bubba Sparks, Timberland tried to Timberland built up Bubba Sparks to be his version of Eminem, and he failed. Diddy got a white artist, a rapper, to get on his label, and he failed. Um, I don't know who else
Yeah,
you're gonna.
Mac
Mac Miller is
Miller,
the only. Mac Miller is the only one.
and you got
That's two. Okay,
Astra Roth.
Esther Roth wasn't big.
No.
Esther
I'm
Roth
just
wasn't
naming the
big,
white
man.
rappers. I'm just naming the white rappers.
I could give you Mac Miller, but again, and people are gonna say this, because people I mean, I'm just gonna play devil's advocate because you do it for Tupac, you do it for Big L, you do it for all of that. He had an unfortunate passing
Mm-hmm.
early,
Yeah.
so that helped his legacy. You know, and I think Mac Miller was just starting to get to that level, and I think he was appreciated more in his death um, than when he was really alive. He had a big following. All right, I'll give you Mac Miller. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't count Jack Harlow yet because Jack Harlow has been around since what, 2019,
Yeah.
2018, or 2018. All right, well, here's what I'll say. Let me give you Jack Harlow. I'll give you 2.5. You know what I mean? Because he is
Yeah.
pretty hot. Okay, so who else? You know, Bubba Sparks flopped. Um, MGK was a one-hit wonder, and then he dissed Eminem, and then he became a rock singer. Okay, I can't count him. Um, oh, remember that guy Macklemore? Where'd he go to? And where was the outrage back then about white privilege when he washed Good Kid, Mad City in the Grammys, and he washed Kendrick Lamar off of arguably his greatest album? There wasn't so much outrage then, now was it? When he even admitted that Kendrick Lamar was a better artist. Macklemore's a flop. We haven't heard from him in God knows how long. So my point being is, if white privilege is so strong, how come there only been really three? You can't name five successful white rappers. You struggle to get there in 20 years of hip hop. Where? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And hip hop is the most universal genre right now.
Yeah.
So you would actually see more white rappers because more white people listen to hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this argument's totally been debunked. This white privilege shit is basically bullshit. Because where is it? Where? I mean, give me the proof. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to
Exactly.
say the only argument you have is Eminem, but Eminem was built up by some of the most powerful black artists and the powerful hip hop executives in the world, and he globalized hip hop. So outside of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you're just going to have to say that black people or black America played a part in white privilege. If that's going to be your debate, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we'll close this show out.
Well, that's that. We're gonna try and come back. We got to talk about this top 200 list for Rolling Stone. So we're
Yeah.
gonna get to that. But definitely check us out. We're gonna put this up on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Shadows Code Radio. We're new to this is our new platform. So definitely join on, and definitely for this show, I want to hear your comments, man. We gave our case. Plead your case. Where's the white privilege in hip hop? We definitely want to hear that. So check us out, and we'll see y'all in a little bit. We're gonna get to this top 200 list for Rolling Stone. All right, peace.
Mm-hmm.